Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day, number 1042, 1042, February the 13th, 2020, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get to the news of the day. Quite a bit to talk about. So it looks like the first item up on the agenda today is it appears that the Penguin, Jerry Nadler, has requested that AG Barr testify to his committee on March the 31st. Nadler wants to answer Barr questions about his intervention in the Roger Stone case, and also to ask questions about why Jesse Lou's nomination was pulled. He also wants to question Barr on his decision to look at evidence that Rudy Giuliani has submitted to the Department of Justice regarding Ukraine and the 2016 election, and also the issues with Joe Biden and Burisma. Now, Barr has gladly accepted the invitation, and of course, the reason is because I don't know how many of you have watched Barr in these congressional hearings, but I think he actually enjoys it. I mean, he knows why they're calling him in, because they want to harass him. And he understands that, but he also understands that he's intellectually superior to them, and he also understands that he knows the law inside and out much better. That he's a much better lawyer than Nadler or Schiff or any of these guys. So he knows he can run circles around them, and I honestly think Barr likes tweaking these people. I mean, and I remember watching the last hearings, and he's asked about the spying. Oh, yeah, I mean, spying did occur. Oh, yeah, spying did occur. Oh, yeah, I call it spying, and he's just, you can tell that I think Barr, in a way, a lot like Trump, enjoys tweaking these guys. And so for him to be called to testify in front of Nadler's committee, he's probably like chuckling and saying, yeah, I'll come testify to your committee, putting it on his calendar, and he's probably laughing, chuckling at how much fun that he's going to have tweaking Nadler. He's going to tweak him all around, get him all twisted up, and he's going to have fun with it. And he knows that legally he's on solid ground. There's nothing wrong with Barr stepping in to say, hey, look, Roger Stone, you say he lied to Congress. Okay, not 7 to 9 years for lying to Congress. I mean, a rapist, the average rapist only gets 6 years, and you're going to give Roger Stone 7 to 9 years for lying to Congress one time, if in fact he even did, over a investigation that should not have even happened because it was illegal. I mean, Barr will destroy that argument, and he'll do it in an effective way, and he will have a fun time doing it. As far as the Jesse Lou situation, well, I mean, everyone who serves in the executive branch serves at the pleasure of the president. And if the president doesn't like this pick for Jesse Lou to serve in the criminal division of the Treasury Department, he can say, no, that's not who I want. He has every right to do that. And when you look at what Jesse Lou has been involved in, and you look at how she's ruled on things or what her decisions have been at her previous job as the top senior prosecutor at the Department of Justice, and of course Barr just replaced her with Timothy Shea, and probably for good reason. I mean, Trump has every right to say, no, I don't want that person over at the Treasury in the criminal division because I don't like the job that she did here. He has every right to do that. And, and that's what Barr is going to say. Look, the president, that was his call, and it's a call he can make. Simple as that. It's within his constitutional authority. There's nothing to talk about. But if you want to kick it around for a while, we certainly can. And Barr will have fun with that as well. As far as the Bidens and taking information from Giuliani, as Barr has himself explained, the Justice Department has individuals who will provide evidence to them about things they think could be unlawful, and they have an obligation to look at it. Now, Giuliani isn't just some hack who has a grievance. You're talking about a former mayor, a former top U.S. attorney who prosecuted many RICO crimes. He took down mob families. He's investigated. He's an expert at this type of stuff. Money laundering, RICO violations, bank fraud. I mean, this is right in Giuliani's wheelhouse. He would know this stuff when he sees it. Now, of course, he's the president's personal attorney, and he probably has a bias there. But it doesn't. But it doesn't mean that evidence that he has collected should not be looked at, especially when we have all this other information. It's not just Giuliani. It's Peter Schweizer's book. It's or Ortel's book. It's all the things being reported in the mainstream media. There's a lot of real questions about what's going on with Ukraine. And so the idea that Barr set up a process for Giuliani to provide this information to the Department of Justice where they can vet the information and determine if it's legitimate, if it has any, if there's anything wrong with it, or if it's all good, solid information, and what the Department of Justice should do if in fact they find this evidence is solid. And there's nothing, again, there's nothing out of bounds here. This is done every day at the Department of Justice. I mean, you have all these lawfare group people associated with the Democrats in Congress and these committees, particularly the Judicial Committee with Nadler. You have them working with former officials who hated Trump, who tried to take him out in a coup. The DOJ, or Jerry Nadler, doesn't even have any problem whatsoever with the interference by the lawfare people, anti-Trump, heavily biased lawfare people, conducting their information and feeding it through congressional committees to try to get after Trump and things like that. They have no problem with that at all, but they have a problem with Attorney General Barr actually doing it the way it should be done through the Department of Justice. So William Barr is and the president are 100% within the law. Everything that they're doing, there's nothing wrong with any of it. It's just another way for Nadler and Pelosi and the rest to harass this president and anyone who supports him. Barr is perfectly aware of all of this. I mean, he's perfectly aware of it. And he's also aware of the fact that they want to impeach him. It's not just Trump. It's not just Trump that they want to impeach. They've openly talked about wanting to impeach Barr. So he knows, and he knew when he took the job. He knew when he took the job that he would essentially be taking fire. And he knew if he ever got over the target, he would take a lot of flack. And that's where he finds himself right now. He also understands where he's going to be going in the near future with the Durham investigation, holding the deep state coup plotters accountable. He knows what's coming. And if he wasn't up to the job or didn't want to do the job, I'm sure one of the two things, either Trump would say, I don't think you're up to the job. I need you to prosecute the crimes, and if you're not going to prosecute the coup plotters, then I'll get someone who will, and you can leave. And again, I don't know that these discussions happened. I imagine some discussions along that vein happened between Trump and Barr. I mean, Trump wants to know, are you going to prosecute the lawbreakers? And that's, and Trump has every right to order the Attorney General to do that. So there's nothing, the president can order the Attorney General to investigate something. That's, and the fact that it may be his political rivals or something like that, it was done to him, and I think that's how Barr looks at it. Well, look, all these people did all this to you, so, and as Attorney General, I am obligated to see if this investigation against you in 2016 was on the up and up, and I'll look into it. And I got a special prosecutor working on it, and, we'll let the chips fall where they may. So Barr is perfectly in the clear here, and again, he knows that they are looking for some way that they can impeach him, if not that they believe that they'll succeed any more than they thought they would succeed in impeaching Trump, but it's just the idea that they can harass and intimidate. And I guess the Democrats have been doing this for so long, it's the only play in their playbook. If you want to neuter the Republicans in the past, you simply harassed and intimidated them, and they would back down like little girls. But now you have a new president who doesn't back down, and he empowers the people around him to stand up, and he tells them, either you stand up and fight or go home. I want fighters around me. If you're not a fighter, if you're a sissy, if you don't want to engage, if you're afraid of being attacked, then you're in the wrong place, because it's a war zone around this White House right now. And if you choose to come into this White House, know on day one when you walk through that door that you have got a big target on you. If you're not ready to fight, hit the door. This is not the job for you. So clearly, Barr understands this, and Durham probably understood this when he took on the investigation. And these guys have obviously decided that they are willing to take the flak, take the heat, that they know is coming their way, and that's a decision they made, and we will see what they do with that responsibility that they've taken on. And in my gut, I feel that they'll do the right thing, and I believe if they start to weaken, that Trump will straighten them out and let them know in no uncertain terms, make it happen, do your job, prosecute the crimes. Roger Stone, supposedly lies to Congress one time. You want to give him 8 to 9 years, but we have literally Brennan, Comey, multiple times lying to Congress. You have McCabe lied to the FBI 4 times, and these guys are walking around free as a bird. And that's what's in Trump's crawl, and it should be in Barr's crawl as well. And Durham should certainly understand this as well. And this is all Trump is saying. If you're going to put Manafort and Papadopoulos and Stone and all these guys, you're going to go after them for these minor misdemeanors and process crimes that never should have happened because they happened during an investigation that was built on a fraud, then certainly real criminals, real liars, real coup plotters, they should absolutely face justice. And that's all Trump's asking for. I think Barr understands that, and he understands where this thing is. And as far as this invitation by the Penguin to Barr, my guess is that Barr was elated. He's like, yeah, I'd love to come. I'd love to come and play around with you guys for a couple hours. It'll be fun for Barr. He'll have a great time. Can't wait for March 31st. I'll be looking forward to watching those video clips. So it looks like Biden and Pocahontas, Hiawatha, got 0 delegates in New Hampshire. In fact, Klobuchar ended up getting more delegates than both Biden and Warren together. So, and the reason is because in that last debate, when they asked about how many of you are uncomfortable with the socialist at the top of the ticket, she kind of gave a little bit. Now, if she'd have shot her hand up, she'd have probably done even better. But that's what bumped her into 3rd place. And effectively, Biden and Warren are done. I mean, they are dead men walking. I mean, they can go ahead and go down to South Carolina. They can go to Nevada. They can stay until Super Tuesday if they got the finances to do so. But they're done. I mean, they're done. Okay, so I think everybody knows that. But my guess is it's a Democratic strategy right now. And the rotten Reverend Clinton, of course, runs the DNC, runs the program. All those people, Perez and Podesta and all the people DNC, all the delegates, they all work for the rotten Reverend Clinton. And they know that to stop Bernie, which is all their primary goals, is to stop Bernie. That's number one. You need to keep as many people in the race as possible to dilute the vote, to make sure that Bernie doesn't show up with the amount of delegates he needs in the first vote to clinch the nomination. So that's item number one. For the rotten Reverend Clinton, item number 2 is getting her name put when she succeeds in engineering a brokered convention. Then they can write her name in for nomination. Then at that point, the superdelegates vote, and they vote for her and not Bernie. And of course, this will cause mass chaos and problems within the DNC. But the rotten Reverend Clinton doesn't care. I mean, she doesn't care about that. I mean, she can care less. Now, the funny thing is that the rotten Reverend Clinton thinks that she can just jam herself down people's throats at the DNC and the Democrats will fall in line. Of course, we all know that's not the case. We all know that she's not nearly as popular as she thinks she is, and that even if she tries to heavy-hand the process, she could find there might be people that say, no, Hillary, I don't think we can do it. I don't think we can go there. We got to stop Bernie. We want to broker a convention, but we can't put you in there. You're really unpopular. What about Buttigieg? What about Bloomberg? What about Klobuchar? Anyone but you. So I honestly believe that even though the rotten Reverend Clinton may succeed at getting the brokered convention, and she does run most of those people there, I believe that there could be a great deal of pushback into inserting her name onto the ballot and creating that kind of a mess. I think she's going to meet a lot of resistance from within her own ranks, because I don't think that she's she's nearly as popular as she thinks she is, and I don't think there's as many people within the DNC establishment that will back her as she thinks there are. Because, again, they're worried about the down ballot, and Bernie would destroy the down ballot, but Hillary wouldn't do much better. The down ballot would suffer under her as well. And these members of Congress, who are all delegates, have something to say. And if you're a Democrat running for Congress, you don't want to be running with Hillary at the top of the ticket. And you damn sure don't want to be running with Bernie. Bernie and Hillary are not going to be the people that most Democrats want to have on the top of the ticket. They would rather put in Milquetoast Buttigieg and have him get his ass kicked, but at least not hurt the down ballot. They would rather put in Klobuchar and have her get her ass kicked, but not hurt the down ballot. Them personally. So I think that's I think that's the way a lot of these Democrats will look at it. So I believe the rotten Reverend Clinton and her cronies will succeed at brokering the convention and pushing Bernie out. But I don't think that I'm not 100% sure. It's like 50-50. Maybe she'll be successful, but I think there'll be a lot of pushback. I'm not so sure she's going to succeed at actually getting advanced on the ticket for nomination. We'll just have to see how that plays out. I don't think she's quite as popular as she thinks she is. Now, these people won't say that to her face, and that's why. But she'll find out when she gets to the convention that behind closed doors, when those votes are cast, and they can be cast secretly pretty much. She doesn't know which members voted which way. I think she'll find a lot of negative votes against her, and that she won't be the one that they want at the top of the ticket. But we'll continue to watch and see how it plays out. It's a long way away, 5-6 months away, but it's all going to happen. It's all going to go down, and it's going to be ugly. So we already know that. The only question is how ugly. Now, CNN, the Commie News Network, had Andy McCabe on to talk about Trump's comments on the Roger Stone case and about the DOJ reversing its position on Stone's sentence. And, of course, McCabe, as I just mentioned, lied 4 times under oath, and he was one of the lead coup plotters. This should not surprise us from the Commie News Network that they would bring McCabe on as if he has some degree of credibility. I mean, for all I know, he'll be in handcuffs tomorrow. But that wouldn't surprise us because they had Avenatti on their program, about 100 times? And he's now in jail. And so at CNN, this would not surprise us at CNN that they would put McCabe on the air to comment on Roger Stone, when in fact Roger Stone is supposedly in trouble because he lied to Congress, when in fact CNN's going to have a guy on their program to comment on that who lied to the FBI 4 times and helped orchestrate a coup. So that is CNN in a nutshell. That's all you need to know about them. That's where they stand. And they're a disaster, by the way. And they're committing suicide as well. They don't care, I guess. I mean, as far as Zucker's concerned, I mean, he's super rich. He could lose his entire investment in CNN, but if he got to punch Trump around for 3 or 4 years, that probably was worth it to him. It's just money to him. He can always make more. So I think that's all it is. It's just a personal vendetta. He's using CNN as his personal play toy to use it to attack Trump, and it's not working. It's actually helping Trump. So I hope he continues. It's working out well for Trump. He's up 10 points. So Trump tweets out the following tweet yesterday. He says, evidence shows that the Mueller scam was improper. Let me start over. Trump tweeted out yesterday, evidence shows that the Mueller scam was improperly brought and tainted. Even Bob Mueller lied to Congress. Yep. Bob Mueller definitely lied to Congress on multiple occasions, both through omission and through actual lies. He withheld evidence from the government that would have exonerated Trump. He lied about Misfit being a Russian agent. He lied about the fact that he was interviewing for the FBI position. He said he was not. We now know from evidence, emails, that he was interviewing for that job when he met with Trump. And of course we know the most damning thing is that he knew on day one when he and his team began the so-called Russia investigation that had already been completely debunked by the FBI. Remember, Mueller took over Crossfire Hurricane. In January of 2017, they completely debunked the dossier in the Russia collusion delusion. But Mueller should have walked in the first day, looked at that and said, okay, well, you want me to investigate Trump-Russia collusion, here's your evidence, and you're telling me that it's been debunked. Guess my investigation's over. See ya, thanks for calling. I'll send you a bill. But that's not what he did. He went on with the coup. And as most of you know, as I have been making this argument for months and months, Uncle Bob the Executioner and his Hillary donor posse are not innocent bystanders in this. They were active coup participants. Active coup participants, knowing exactly what they were doing. They were brought in to carry out the coup. When the government failed to stop Trump from being elected, they brought in Mueller to take him out. That's the bottom line. That's why I describe him as Uncle Bob the Executioner and the Hillary donor posse. So this is clear, and I do believe that will come into play. And again, I don't know if Durham is going to go there. I'm sure he realizes it. He obviously knows it at this point. Whether or not he is going to get into the Mueller aspect of it and call Mueller and his team as part of the coup, I don't know if he will go that far. We'll just have to wait and see. Had an extraordinary numbers put up by Trump in New Hampshire, and it just shows you how popular Trump is and how passionate his supporters are for him. You know, Trump was essentially unopposed. You had Bill Weld and this other hack, but Trump was going to overwhelmingly win the primary up in New Hampshire. Nobody needed to go out in the freezing cold and rain and snow and nasty weather conditions they have up there to vote for Trump in that primary. He was going to win. There was no real reason to go. He was just going to win in the primary. But yet, Trump ends up setting a record, getting a record-setting number of people who came out to support him, even though they really didn't need to. He ended up with 131,000 votes. 131, which makes all the Democrats in the field look weak. Not a single Democrat in that field got more than, 15, 20,000 votes? Here's Trump pulling down 131,000. Now, of course, he only had two opponents, and there are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Democrats. But the bottom line, they didn't need to come out. Trump was going to win anyway. But they came out, and they came out in huge numbers. And here are some comparisons just so you can see how passionate Trump supporters are to come out and support him even when they don't need to. When you look at the votes that he got as an incumbent, and you look at the votes of the 3 previous incumbents in New Hampshire, it's extraordinary, the number of votes that Trump got. So in Obama, when he went to New Hampshire as an incumbent, he only got 49,000 votes. George W. Bush, as an incumbent, only had 55,000. Bill Clinton did a little better as an incumbent. He got 76,000. But here we have Trump getting 131,000 who came out to support him even though they didn't need to. Which means Trump actually got more than Obama and Bush put together with plenty left over. In fact, he almost got as much as all 3 of them combined. But he got double what Clinton got, and he got more, well, a lot more than Bush and Obama put together. That's people coming out to vote for Trump in the primary when they really didn't even need to. They just wanted to. And that shows you hardcore, deep enthusiasm. It also tells you that these weren't all Republicans. That these had to be a lot of Democrats, or a certain number, a substantial number of Democrats and independents. That was not all Republicans. So there had to be Democrats and independents figuring into that number being that large. And looking over at the left-wing media, evaluating the failed campaign of Burisma Joe, we have CNN, the Commie News Network, Dana Bash, admitting that the Biden campaign is doomed. Of course. We had 3 people drop out after the primary in New Hampshire. Deval Patrick, who never really got anything going. Andrew Yang was a little surprised to see him drop because he did have some support, but he dropped out. And there was another one that dropped out too, but I didn't know he was even in the race. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd never heard of him. Well, I'd heard of him, but yeah, it's irrelevant. But three Democrats have dropped out of the field, but that still leaves like 9 or 10. We have the Iowa Commie Party chair resigning, Troy Price. He's the guy you've been seeing in these press conferences coming out of Iowa trying to explain the debacle that happened there. The big heavy-set guy with a beard who was standing there yesterday trying to explain everything, and the sign fell. I mean, this guy, and in a way I feel sorry for him. I mean, I don't know that all this was his fault. He got manhandled by the Rotten Reverend Clinton's people into using this app so that they could run a scam and pocket some cash with some of their techno buddies out in Silicon Valley. He's just some local official in the party who got beat up pretty much and rolled, and he's the scapegoat. He's the guy whose head was put on the block and told he has to go. I mean, Tom Perez should be the main guy's head on the block being told to go, but he's the Rotten Reverend Clinton's boy, so he's okay. But Mr. Price, it was your scalp that was taken. Congratulations, welcome to the Democratic Party. Now you know how it feels. Maybe he'll become a Republican. Iowa and New Hampshire turnouts for the Democrats down 25% on average. If this trend continues, and this has been pointed out by left-wing media pundits, if this trend continues, not only are they going to get ass blasted in the election, they're going to get really ass blasted in the election. It's bad enough that they're going to lose the Electoral College because they have weak candidates, but if you combine that with a 25% deficit in expected turnout, that is going to play big into races in the House and in the Senate, because it will affect overall voter turnout and the overall end result of all those races. And of course, we know that in a lot of these places, these Senate races are very, very tight. A lot of these House races can be very, very tight. You cannot give up 25%, have 25% lack of show from your people and expect to win these tight races. This is one of the reasons why the Democrats won back the House. Trump wasn't on the ballot, so not as many Republicans came out. It was a fairly low turnout. But Trump will be on the ballot in 2020, and so his turnout is going to be gigantic. And if the Democrats suffer from a weak turnout, they will be on the other end of that pogo stick, and they will take it in the shorts in November of 2020, and this is what they fear most. I mean, I honestly believe at this point that for the most part, the smart people in the Democratic Party know they're going to lose in 2020. I mean, I think they know they're not going to win and beat Trump in 2020. That's why they're trying to take him out in a coup, impeachment, whatever they can do. They know they can't beat him at the ballot box, so if they can't get rid of him some other way, they know he's going to win. But what really concerns them the most is that losing not only to having him win re-election, but if he wins re-election and gets the House back and holds on to the Senate. Because then he's a president in a second term with wind at his back, and he now has both houses of Congress. They lose both houses, there goes any hope of any more impeachments or investigations because they won't control the committees who make those decisions. Not only that, Trump will get to ramrod his agenda down their throat, and he will. He will ram his agenda down their throat. Not only that, you'll have these guys back in Congress, and they will actually do investigations of the Democrats' investigations, and you will have a flip of the coin, and will be Democrats being called into these hearings, and it'll be their people like the whistleblower, people like Mr. Vindman, people like just the whole crew that you just got on the list, Chalupa and the whole 9 yards. So they know the whole tables will be turned on them. So I think the Democratic Party right now understands that they're likely not going to be able to get rid of Trump. That they're not going to beat him at the ballot box, and they probably can't get rid of him, which means that they are their only hope is to stop the Republicans from having a big win in the congressional races, and that's what they're concerned about. the top of the ticket. That's why they're terrified of Bernie. That's why they're hesitant even with Hillary. They don't want someone who's as unlikable as Hillary. They don't want someone who's a commie like Bernie or Warren. They're just wanting to get anyone at the top of the ticket who's just not going to hurt them, do no harm sort of can. They know they can't help themselves very much with what they're working with, but they just don't want to do harm that could cost them the Congress. They're focused on the Congress. Forget the White House. They're going to lose that. They're focused on how do they hold on in the House, and they think they can win the Senate. I don't think it's going to happen, but this is what their focus is. The down ballot. That's all that's on their mind right now. And this is what the smart people would be thinking. We have Devin Nunes on Lou Dobbs night before last, hinting that the Mueller corruption is going to be revealed in the coming weeks. And that's very good news. I've been complaining about it for a very long time, and I know Nunes talks to Trump, and maybe he knows something. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm not really sure if Durham is going to bring the Mueller situation into the coup. It was certainly part of it. Whether or not Durham wants to go there, I don't know. But when you hear Devin Nunes, and I don't know if he's suggesting that this this corruption in the Mueller investigation is going to be revealed. I don't know if he's saying that that's as a result of what Congress is doing, and that would be over in the Senate, because it's certainly going to happen in the House, or whether he's suggesting that's coming from Barr, or whether he's suggesting that that's something that Trump told him, that, hey, I got the goods on Mueller too, and I'm taking his ass down too. So we don't really know what Nunes is, where he's coming from, but we do know that he's certainly told Lou Dobbs, hey, I'll tell you what, we're going to be learning more about the Mueller corruption in the weeks to come. And absolutely that should happen. Chris Matthews just continues. He is not backing down. I'm sure he's taking lots of heat from Democrats, but he just continues to make these comments. And so last night, after Biden came in 5th place in New Hampshire, only got 8% of the vote, Chris Matthews said Biden is done. And he also said that Sanders delivered the knockout blow to Warren, and I agree. Warren is from Massachusetts. She needed to have a much stronger showing in New Hampshire than she did, and she really needed to have a better showing in Iowa. That's her home turf. If Warren is that weak in New Hampshire, and she hasn't been able to, her goal was to take Bernie's plan. But the problem is she took Bernie's plan, and then when she took Bernie's plan, then she criticized Bernie for his plan. And that's what turned off so many of the leftists against Warren. And so Chris Matthews, again, correctly diagnoses the situation when he says that Biden is done. Yes, he is. And that Sanders also delivered a knockout blow to Warren. As long as she's got money, she can probably stay in it, just like Biden. But they're done. And, of course, the Rotten Reverend Clinton couldn't resist tweeting out yesterday the following tweet, quote, "Do you realize intimidating judges is the behavior of failed state fascists? Just asking." Do you realize intimidating judges is the behavior of failed state fascists? Just asking. Well, he wasn't intimidating a judge. He was commenting on something that was extraordinary, the sentence of Roger Stone. And lots of people had commented on that, and the president can comment on that. Some people say he shouldn't, but he can if he wants to. You don't like it? Tough. It needed his comment. I think I have no problem with it. But the thing about the Right Reverend Clinton, she thinks that that's the behavior of a failed state fascist. Actually, the behavior of a failed state fascist is to launch a coup against your former opponent who defeated you, using the powers of the deep state. That would actually be much closer to the actions of a fascist dictator, failed fascist dictator. And of course, we have Paul Sperry putting out a tweet warning Bernie that the Democratic establishment and the Rotten Reverend Clinton's people have all the opposition research on him, and to get ready for leak, the dirt on Bernie. Yep, you can expect that that's coming now that he's got through his safe water there in New Hampshire and Iowa. As he gets into the South and the Southwest, you're going to start seeing the stuff they got on him, the dirt. We know they got it. The Republicans got it. Everybody's got it. Hillary had it 3 years ago. It's out there. It's just when they're going to start dropping on Bernie. And it's coming, and you can take it to the bank. Guys, have a good night. See you. Bye.